In order to ensure everyone's success in the practicum, I wanted to go over some of the expectations with you. So when you go to the Assignments tab here in Course Home, you'll see that there are all the assignments listed, which you should have looked at already, and Practicum is one of them. Your Practicum is worth 50 points. And as we mentioned before, it is preferred that it be done in an accredited program, but we understand that that's not always possible. For most of you, you've already found a placement and had the practicum agreement form completed. If you are in your own classroom, you don't need the practicum agreement form completed. So please just send me the name, email, and where the person works and their telephone number so I can get in touch with them. Who'll be your mentor. If it's your own classroom, they're only going to have to observe you teach 2 lessons. But they are going to also have to do your common assessments for teaching and your practicum evaluation form. And so when you click on this link here, you'll find the practicum evaluation form. And I'm going to share that with you and go over sort of what the expectations are. There's the form. As you notice, it needs to be completed. You need to share this with your mentor teacher. So you're going to put your name, the practicum placement, your mentor teacher's name, and then your mentor teacher will sign this at the end of the semester and give you a recommended grade. There's a reason for it just being a recommended grade. I understand that at times there are some issues between students and teachers, and if you've shared that information with me and I can be a support to you, I can help sort of negotiate that grade. So what I ask the teacher to do is to comment on each area that we find important for the practicum. So the first area is professionalism and communication with mentor. And what I'm looking for here is that first of all, you arrive on time, you dress appropriately for an early childhood classroom, which means you shouldn't be wearing heels and a dress as much as you shouldn't be wearing ripped sweatpants. Showing up on time and communicating well with your mentor about the expectations for the classroom and what you need in terms of your expectations for your practicum. You have more information on this than the mentor teacher does. You need to recognize that the mentor's priorities are the students in their class, and so being consistent with your communication, ensuring that if at all possible you have regular meetings, you're going to have to share lesson plans with them and get their approval on them. So just making sure that you give them enough time and communicate your ideas with them and what you need to complete prior to the deadlines. The next is interactions and engagement in the classroom with children. This is not an observing class. This is actually a class where you're supposed to be actively engaged with kids in the classroom and participating with them in play and doing being a part of the regular routines at the classroom. So teachers will sort of write comments about how you're doing that. The next is your dispositions and attitude towards the practicum. Teachers are looking for you to be really interested in their class and helpful and enthusiastic about your experience in there. Not all practical experiences are perfect, but any experience with kids is a good learning experience. And there's nothing that mentor teachers hate more than when students sort of don't appreciate that learning opportunity and sort of have a negative attitude towards the experience or seem indifferent or not really interested in their classroom. That can be something that really affects how they evaluate you. And the last is preparation and implementation of lessons. And why this is so important is that too often the mentor teachers find that students will arrive and need materials for their lessons. Certainly, if classrooms have paint, you don't need to bring your own paint, but you need to be there in enough time to get the materials set up ahead. You also need to clean up at the end of the experience. And you need to ensure that you go over what you're going to be doing with your mentor teacher, more than just showing them the lesson plans, but ensuring that you have the materials, how many children you're going to be working with, where you're going to be doing it. The setup of the environment is really, really important. And so while you're so excited about or nervous or whatever it might be about teaching your lessons and being evaluated on them, really they need to continue with the regular part of their day. And so you being as prepared as possible can very much help the whole experience. Now let's see. The next form I want to share with you, I'm going to get this one out of the way, is the Practicum Experience Log. For those of you who are visiting someone else's classroom, each week you're going to complete this form. You'll put your name and your mentor teacher's name, and you'll have your mentor teacher sign it every week that you come. So you put your date and time of attendance, and then really a sentence or two about what you did, the activities you participated in. If you're there for a 3-hour block of time, you helped with snack, you played in blocks, and in the art area, you went outside and helped monitor children outside on the playground. Everything that you sort of did that day. Not every little detail, but just an overall kind of summary of the experiences you did with children, and then have your mentor teacher sign it. If your mentor teacher is not in the classroom when you're leaving, you can have an assistant teacher sign it. You can have an administrator sign it. You can have someone at the desk sign it. But I need sort of this just some kind of proof that you were there and that your mentor teacher recognized that you were engaged in activities during the day. So you just fill this out real quickly the last couple of minutes you're in the classroom. And as you can see, there's one for each week. I just suggest that you print it out double-sided, and then your mentor teacher can make comments on the bottom about your participation if you had to make up a week or anything like that. So each week you're going to fill that out, and then you're going to scan that in and send that to me. The final form I want to share with you is this part of the beginning part of your curriculum planning assignment. So each week when you go for the first 2 weeks, you'll have spent 6 hours in the classroom after the first 2 weeks. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to begin to think about how children's interests can be used to guide curriculum development, which is what we're going to talk about in class this week. So what you're going to do is put down the day, the area of the classroom, whether it be outside or in blocks or during snack, and then at the end, a possible topic, a bigger idea that you might be able to focus on with the children in terms of building curriculum. So the first thing you're going to write down is a brief observation. So this might be where you notice that the toddlers are playing in the sink with the water and the teacher keeps shutting it off. And maybe you realize, well, wow, I noticed that children are really interested in water, and maybe this is something that I could build curriculum off of because they don't have a ton of experiences in this toddler classroom with water. And then your reflections or thinking or questions about it, it's like, is this a science-oriented focus? Because all of our topics have to be science-oriented for this experience. Is this something that really could integrate the curriculum? Is this a topic truly of interest to children that can be built upon? And you're going to, whatever kinds of questions or ideas you have, you can write right here. You can certainly type this out when you get home as well. And then the standards that could be addressed. And what we're looking for here is not every little benchmark, but just the overall standards. While playing in water, could you be addressing language? Are there literacy activities related to water that you could engage with children in? Is there opportunities to study science and math and social studies? And I just want you to think about, is this really possible that you could integrate the curriculum, focusing on a curriculum on water? So what I'm asking for is for you to come up with 3 observations over the 6 hours that might reflect possible topics that are science-oriented that could be used to integrate the curriculum appropriately for young children. And then you will put this in the Dropbox. Might be easier for you guys to type it. But really keep it short and simple. And then from these 3 topics, you will pick one and create an invitation plan. And we'll talk about that next week as we get closer to doing that. But for now, this is just one of the things you're going to need to do this week, or begin to do each time you go to your practicum. So remember, you have 6 hours. That's quite a bit of time to see what the children are interested in. And if we're going to really engage in emergent curriculum planning in here that uses a constructivist approach, a constructivist philosophy, we have to start with what children are interested in. For some of you, it might be possible that you really don't see children's interests in the placement. Maybe children don't have a lot of free time to express themselves, and then you might need to think about what's developmentally appropriate, what you're interested in, and possibly what kids this age are interested in. But we can talk about that if you have those particular interests. Let me know if you have any questions.